All right, welcome back to the Beyond Coaching podcast. Today we've got Coach Chad Cahoy, owner of Jacksonville Strength in Florida. Chad went from active duty Navy to coaching CrossFit and then became a weightlifting coach and now runs one of the most youth heavy clubs in one of the strongest high school weightlifting states in the country. Today we'll break down his beginner to advanced pathway, how he builds coaches from within, and the realities of coaching youth in Florida. We're also going to dig into how he balances Olympic weightlifting with coaching powerlifting, functional strength, and sports performance training. Let's dig in. Chad, how we doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being
Absolutely,
here.
man. So take me back to let's go discovering CrossFit. How did you find CrossFit, and then how did that turn into weightlifting for you?
Yeah, so I was active duty military at the time, 2012-ish. Like I said, I've been very active in, weightlifting and bodybuilding and just personal training and, just fitness in general. Went out to our little beach site in Mayport to get in a workout and saw a coach out there getting out some rowers and some barbells and putting them on the pad. And went over to ask him what it was all about. And he told me told me what CrossFit was. So little intrigued there, tried it out, got my ass kicked quite a few times, really liked it. Obviously drank all the Kool-Aid.
Nice.
And then before you know it, I'm in wanting to be a coach and go from there.
Nice. Is that pretty typical story we hear, the CrossFit guy, like you get in and like, hey, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. Was there a moment in there where you were like you found weightlifting to be sort of like way more exciting, or was it just kind of part of it for you at the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really a specific moment, but so the gym that I was at the time had a youth weightlifting team. The coach was a good youth weightlifting coach, and I kind of started shadowing him and doing kind of an internship both for CrossFit, and then also he asked me if I wanted to help with the youth weightlifting team. So I started helping there, left there, and I kind of took my son with me. I'd started coaching him where I was heading to next. And even though I was coaching CrossFit, I kind of really felt a pull towards really kind of learning more about weightlifting and trying to see how far I could get him, I guess, because I knew that he was pretty talented. So kept just pursuing that. And then I think when I was at the last gym that I was at before I opened up my own, they allowed me to open or start up a barbell club. And I kind of felt like that was where I was being pulled to do that. I was good at it.
How did Florida's weightlifting culture shape your gym's identity and even your coaching identity?
Well, I mean, Florida's got like a massive, weightlifting following for for high school sports. A lot biggest is women here in Jacksonville and our surrounding counties. We do have, St. John's in Clay County. Duval County doesn't have a men's weightlifting program, but all these other surrounding counties pretty much do. So once I opened up my gym, word started getting out. I had some pretty, I wouldn't say top tier, like high level high school athletes come into the gym and start training with us. And then, from there, it's kind of just word of mouth. I mean, I don't do or put out a whole lot of effort into like advertising or anything like that. So it's just been, pretty much people's results speak for us. So just helping them out. Kids coming in, I want to go to districts, I want to regionals, I want to go to regionals or states, and we do what we can to help them get there, and then they start talking.
So you really grew from just straight referrals, word of mouth, and just kind of being around.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, my reputation, I was able, Caden obviously helped with that, people seeing him on the world stage and on the national stage. And then, like I said, I kind of started building a small contingent of high school athletes. And then his girlfriend, Kylie, joined the team and I started coaching her and she made Team USA. So then, Kylie posted. And then, like I said, it's just been, mostly referrals and, our progress and results started speaking pretty loudly for us. So.
Do you feel like the success of a team, the success of a gym and a team like in something like weightlifting, where it's such a challenging sport or such a sort of like niche thing, do you feel like the referral sort of machine is a more reliable way to get clients, like to have like a team grow where if you were sending ads out and, kind of trying to pull everybody in, you'd have a lot of turnover. But do you feel like the referrals has been like a great driver for that versus more
Yeah,
traditional
honestly,
stuff?
I do, like, because I think those athletes that are coming in after, seeing their friends or seeing their teammates, come to the gym and do so well, I think it kind of alleviates a lot of the headache of people coming in that don't really wanna do the sport. They're just doing
Right.
it as like, "Oh, it's another high school sport. I get to put a letter on my jacket," kinda thing. That so I do feel like, kids talking to each other and that referral is like, hey man, if you're going to go into Jacksonville Strength, just know that, Coach Chad doesn't play around and you're going to work your
Yeah.
butt off if that's what you want to do. Right. So obviously the goal when they walk in the door is like, hey, what's your goal? And if you're just coming in to get fit, hey, your effort earns my effort. So if you're just coming in to, play around and waste my time, okay,
Yeah.
fine. But if you're coming in to get better, all right, let's go. I'm going to push you to do that. So.
I like that.
Yeah,
I
so that
like that.
referral program is definitely like it just alleviates a lot of the drama and a lot of the extra stuff that like
Mhm.
I just don't have time to deal with and I just don't want to,
Yeah.
right? It's yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I like that saying, your effort earns my effort. Cause it's the kind of thing where, it almost is like it acts as a filter, right? Cause you have anybody who shows up, that if that person takes that statement to heart and they start putting in the work
Yep.
and like they start earning it, like it's easy for you. You don't have to try to pull it out of them, right?
Mhm.
And at the same time, it's like it's also self-selecting where if they start backing off or they don't put the effort in, you're not going to waste the time, right? It's like a
Yeah, and
really
I've seen
good,
it. I've seen it too many times,
yeah,
talking to some parents last night, you get, athletes that come into the gym is, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. And then they see how hard the program is, or so, oh, I've been doing this program or I've been doing that program. And you come into
yeah,
my program and it's different. And I coach you, right? It's not like you sitting in your garage or you sitting in LA
yeah,
Fitness or,
yeah,
Crunch Fitness on your own time and kind of like just doing your own thing. He's like, no, you got a coach in there that's actually pushing you. Time management's important, get off your
yep.
phone. We're here to train. We're not here to just, socialize so much. Like it's just been one of those things where it's like it weeds them out. Like if you want to be here, cool, we're here for you. But if you don't, that's okay. See you later. There's a door.
Do you feel like you're something I kind of get to, and I think Zach and I talk about this a lot. We actually had a sort of a coach's call earlier today where we talk a lot about like programming and how to, use our tools to do better programming to make programming easier. Like there's such a difference in the world of training between programs and the routine and the actual like results you get or like the execution, because you could imagine like at some point all the information in the world exists. We're
Hmm.
going to figure everything out about weightlifting or
Yep.
powerlifting or anything it is, and even if we don't figure it out, there's more than enough information to be really great. But at the
Hmm.
same time, there's just not that many champions, and so like,
Right.
obviously you got to have the talent, right? But so much of what I think coaching is that gets lost or people don't grasp, it's not anything about knowledge. It's about execution. It's like,
Yeah.
can you take your program as simple or as elaborate as it is, and can you implement it where, it's like the details, like you're watching somebody and they do a lift. And it's like, that's not good enough. You got to do it this way and this way. And if you
Yeah.
say that 1,000 times and you push and you push and you hold people to a standard, like what you get the other side is so different. So, you can show that with someone like Caden, right? Or you can show
Hmm.
people, hey, look what we did here. Is there a way
Hmm.
you found that you can kind of show people the value of coaching when they get in there? Like parent hasn't seen it. Like, they don't know the difference between like having a coach and be part of a team and just like I download a program off the internet.
Yeah, I mean, I hear it a lot actually, which is, one of the biggest compliments you can ever hear as a coach, right? I mean, there's a million of them, but one of the biggest ones that really kind of like every single time I hear it, it kind of stops me dead in my tracks. And it like, okay, that's really cool. Like I like to hear that, but it's, when somebody comes into the gym for the first time, like I've had so many athletes or parents of athletes that bring their athletes in and they'll do a workout with us and it'll be like, when they walk out, like, oh, thanks, coach. I appreciate it. Like, I've learned more in a 1 hour session or a 1.5 hour session with you, going over my form and my technique or whatever it is that I've learned. And I've been lifting weights I've been doing this for 2 or 3 years. I didn't feel like I was making any progress. And, I come in here and it's like, now I know how to do this or like, so that's like, Yeah, absolutely. That's like the biggest compliment, and and I tell people all the time is like, you can do whatever program that you've been doing, like I said, at Crunch Fitness, and you've been doing it by yourself, and you might have, somebody, stop by and oh, I know what I'm doing here. And they say something to you and it's like, okay, great. But like, you're not getting the full benefit of having eyeballs on you
Yeah.
in a training facility where you have a professional that's programmed, that knows the program works, that knows how to coach the way how, to set up and position, just like, Max, you guys know how it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's no trade-off for having a professional watch you and coach you versus you trying to do it all by yourself. There just isn't.
This funny analogy just crossed my mind. It's like probably a little more to the Bay Area kind of people, but like the idea of like remote work. It's like we did the remote work thing during the pandemic. A lot of people did, right?
Yeah.
And like companies are like, all right, it's time to come back to the office because there's just
Yeah.
like some degree of like and granted, there's many successful remote athletes and coaches. I'm not even
Right.
knocking that at all. I did it. It's
Yeah.
more the idea like how much of your passion and emotion and attention can you drive into somebody to get the result you want?
Yeah.
And that's like so much a big part of it versus just having all the knowledge. Like at some point, everybody learns
Mhm.
everything, right? Like there's no
Mhm.
new stuff you're going to figure out. It's like,
Mhm.
can I get the guy to snatch properly, turn the bar over every
Yeah.
time? Can we do it right? Can we really push on it? How do you find that over the years you've been able to like keep that kind of effort up and not just be like burned out and be like, you know what? Yeah, you pressed it out. It's good enough.
Yeah. Again, I think that the answer to that kind of boils down to what I talked about earlier is like, obviously you have to have a passion for what you do, right? And then you get so many athletes coming in but I think that burnout it maybe comes like with each athlete individually, even though we have a large team, like obviously try to have a personal connection with each one of my athletes. And it kind of boils down to what I said a minute ago. It's like, effort earns effort. If I just see you coming in and kind of half-assing your workouts, right? Like everything's there for you, right? I'm there if you have questions, even if I'm not seeing every single lift. Like if you need to, people record their videos. It's like, hey, coach, can you take a look at this? And it happens all the time. But if you're just like in there kind of half-assing your stuff and,
Yeah.
it's not looking the way kind of like we need it to be looking, and you start complaining about, oh, well, I'm not seeing the progress that I'm making, or I'm not seeing any technical change, whatever. It's like, I'm there for you, right? But how have you been what kind of effort have you been putting in to like make sure that those changes happen?
And
Yeah.
this actually talks about something we chatted about earlier, which is like you used to believe you could help everyone, as I think what I quoted
Yeah,
you
it's
saying.
so hard, man. Like, it's so hard to like want it more than they do, though. That's kind of what it boils down to. So for a lot of them, they come in and they realize that this is probably more than it's more than than they can chew. And then it's like, okay, well, no, now I'm not.
In weightlifting, do you see so like my background's powerlifting, and my business I built it really upon kind of building more of the for the beginners and intermediates. We've had some advanced people, they come and go after some time, but it's really those beginners and intermediates that have built like my business, allowed me to employ coaches and build something that's real. And I find that powerlifters churn every 2 to 3 years. You see like this new wave of lifters. Do you find the same thing in weightlifting, especially with youth? Do they try it for a year or two and move on to the next thing?
Percent. Like that's kind of like, and it's kind of going back to Max's question a little bit, but that's like my biggest frustration. And that's kind of where I feel like sometimes staying motivated, right, is really, really difficult for me because our program really relies heavily on our high school athletes, right? Because it's just a big sport. So not every year specifically, but I'll get like a 2-year block or a 3-year block where I get like a bunch of sophomores and some freshmen or some juniors come in. And then in 2 or 3 years, they're graduating and they're leaving and they're going to college and they realize, oh, well, life happens. I can't afford it. I'm moving out of state. I'm going to college here. They have a program, right? Just like so many things kind of come into play. So yeah, we do get, just like any other gym, but it's more of an up and down. So like every year around graduation time, or right before college kicks back up, I know for a fact that I'm probably going to lose some athletes. So
How do you deal with like, you've got kind of different tiers, right? The first level of people come in, brand new kids, they're learning. You've got to, You're pulling them in. You've got a whole pipeline here. How do you deal with balancing what you're going to do as far as like taking someone from, from a, say, a high school level competition to like a youth Pan Ams, to a youth worlds, to a junior worlds, to a senior worlds? Like, how do you balance that process where you find somebody that's talented and you kind of bring them along? Do you do things differently, or do you sort of have that same thing where it's like, halfway through they're about to go to junior worlds and then they just decide, hey, I got a job at Jamba Juice and I'm done. I'm rolling in big bucks and I'm out of here. Yeah. What's the process look like for you? What do you do there?
I mean, so yeah, typically, like, I mean, I have a couple kids like right now, like I have a couple youth athletes that are like 13 U's, or I have somebody that walks in that's never touched a barbell. I got a young man right now that's like 8 years old that I could see, I can see a future as long as he continues to do what he's doing. And the same thing with these two young girls. I see Team USA singlets on both of them. But the hardest thing is like trying to keep them motivated even when training gets hard or things aren't going their way. So the way I do it is basically I let them come to me. Unless I see them, like it's like I wait for them to come to me. I wait for the parents like, oh, well, so and so Bobby wants to compete at a local competition. And then we go compete at a local competition. And then, oh, he liked it so much, what do we need to do for state championship? So I really don't drive, like I drive the bus, but I don't, tell people where to sit, if that makes sense. Right. I kind of just let them show me the effort. Like just because I've done it too many times, like I've seen somebody come in with a ton of potential. Right. And like I end up wanting it more than they do. And then when they have to turn around and leave, or I'm starting nursing school, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. I had a couple that were a couple kilos off of making teams, and they just trained a little bit longer. But then I have, this going on at school and I have that. So it's just one of those things where I let them come to me if it works out. Like my girl now, she came into me and like her first year at nationals with me, she made teams. She unfortunately didn't fill out her paperwork, the interest form that was, that year.
Yeah.
So she wasn't able to go to Youth Pan Ams that year because she just didn't know, right? She didn't know anything, but she goes, she competes with me at states that year and she wins states. And then we go to nationals and we put up a total. And the end of her session, after she wins nationals, I look up her total and I was like, holy crap, you just made Team USA. Right.
Yeah.
And her mom was standing right there and she's like, what'd you just say? And I'm like, yeah, like we had no idea. I had no idea that she would even be on my radar. Like I knew she was good and I knew she had potential, but she just kind of came out of nowhere and put up a big total. And we're kind of living off of that. But I let them come to me and I wait for them to come to me because it's just too much. When you have a large team trying to push people, I feel like it just pushes them away. When they know what your expectations are for them, it scares them, especially when you got somebody like Caden or Kylie or Taylor Wilkins or El Bays, all these Team USA athletes that are training in your gym and they see how hard they work to get to where they're at and who they are. When they see coach coming at them and, hey, I want the same thing for you, it's a little intimidating. So I just let them come to me.
Is there anything you do on the youth side to make training like fun or enjoyable?
No, not really. Like if I'm being quite honest.
I love that answer.
I mean, but so that's the thing is like, if you come in like the kids, so this is another way, I guess I kind of weed out the population a little bit. Like, it's not that I don't make it fun. I think my personality, my coach's personality, when athletes are coming in to train, athletes seeing that they're getting better, the progress that they're making, the changes, mentally and physically that they're starting to see in themselves and the parents are starting to see in them after they've done some training with us. Honestly, I think that's, kind of the biggest thing. But I don't necessarily, it's like, when I get an 8-year-old that comes into the gym and he's doing beginner 1 versus beginner 2. Now, I will say that my incentive for those athletes is like, it's leveling up, right? It's not like, okay, like my 8-year-old, my little man right now that I'm working with is like, he comes in and he starts at beginner 1, and he's doing my basic fundamentals. Like I'm just learning how to touch a barbell. We get through a cycle, and at the end of that cycle, he's like, "Hey, coach, when can I go to beginner 2?" And I'm like, I think we still have a little bit of work we have left to do because we haven't pulled from the floor, or we haven't done this yet, or we haven't done that yet. So then he's like, okay. And so now there's incentive, like every couple of weeks, he's like, when can I go beginner 2? When can I go beginner 2? And at
So
the
you
end of that
gamified it.
cycle, and so at the end of that cycle, I gave him a chore or a task. And I said, I want you by the end of this cycle to be able to show me when you come in and see what's on the board, you're going to demonstrate for me how to do that movement before I move you up to the next level.
Yeah.
These are fundamental movements. And when you go into beginner 2, now we're working into complexes. And I need to know that you know how to do these movements. So I challenge them athletically, mentally, to go look at the board, to remember, to jot down on notes if they need to take notes or whatever it takes for them to remember before I move them up to the next level. And if they can't hack it and they don't like it, they just stay there. It's fine.
I like that. I like that idea of like a progression that you're kind of earning. I feel like that's
Yeah,
something
they got to earn it.
Yeah. That we kind of almost lose with like the non-youth person that starts. Let's say you start at 23, 25, maybe 30, like there's no real, like, you can't progress to the next level in weightlifting. It's like you've got a local meet, and then you've got American Open Series
for us. Yeah, we have local, states, and then nationals or AOs. Yeah,
and that's it. And it's kind of like most people, like you look at like a USAW AO series, and it's not a normal distribution. It is everybody at the exact same level. It's like everybody is at this level, and like largely that's because weightlifting is very, very challenging. It's difficult to improve. You know, you're not going to just kind of stack kilos onto your total every year, right? People will get to a level, and then like they just aren't going to progress way, way faster. So you kind of lose that like sense of like, how do you build some accomplishment into the idea? Like you score points or you build a thing, and there's a leveling up kind of effect that happens where it's kind of unfortunate. Like we kind of miss out on that, I feel like. And it's like the whole sport is this like, well, when we do it, we lift our weights, and like I go to the next meet and I do my 80, 100, and I'm like, cool. And eventually I just like give up on it, because it's like, I'm not doing, a 130 snatch or, a 500 pound or 200 pound snatch or whatever. It's like you're kind of stuck. You're kind of like, where's the next level? So I like the idea you have this thing that's incorporated more so of like, it's for youth, but it's the idea of like, you've got to show competency. It's like accomplishment of like, do this movement, then you're in the next level. And like, if you could just break it up where it's like, you've done 5 meets that you've competed at these events, and there's like a league or something. I feel like
typically like going from my beginner 2s to my advanced, that's exactly it, right? Like they go in there like, well, I'm a beginner 2. What do I do for my next one? Well, are you interested in competing now? And they said, well, yeah, I think I'd like to try out a local. Okay, let's move you up to advanced, where we start working in percentages.
Right.
We actually start to develop you throughout the cycle in the percentage, and working you up to see where we end up for this local meet. And then after that, it's like, okay, well, you did really well at the local. What do you want to do for states or nationals? And then that determines how or whether or not I feel like they need to go up to competitors, which is my kind of my highest level before you go into like custom programming for my top tiers.
I feel like we can learn a lot from martial arts, like when it comes to this type of stuff. Chad, I think you mentioned you train jiu-jitsu as well, right?
Like your belts, 100%, man. Like, that's the one thing I love about martial arts is like, and it's not even, it's not even time, right? It's just like, hey, you got to show us that you're able to do whatever you need to do. You can think on your feet. Like if there's such a maturity level to advanced people, martial arts has it, man.
Yeah. We could go.
Well, real quick. So at my gym, what I started doing 4 or 5 years ago was like every year someone's been with us, they get a shirt with a Roman numeral and a colorway.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Nice. Really like that. Nice. Thing is, like with years, it's like it's not performance based. So like Max, like you said, people get stuck, and like the 45-year-old might just stay at the same numbers because he had a kid and his training frequency went down.
Right.
But we're still rewarding them in some way.
Yeah.
And we post it and they repost it, and the coach writes them a letter, and it's like this really cool thing. But I took that from jiu-jitsu because I was like, it's so cool that you kind of level up. And it's funny, I was talking to one of my jiu-jitsu professors about what they do with the kids, because it is attendance based, which is a gamification and keeps them going. And I guess like kids will get stuck at a certain belt level for a while. So they have like white stripes, then they switch to like red stripes on the belt, and then it's yellow stripes on the belt. And it's like just these made up modalities of progression.
So, but they're changes, like they're visual changes that pique the athlete's interest and kind of gives them an incentive. Is like, okay, well, I got one stripe and now I want that next one.
Exactly.
I
right?
like that.
Weightlifting,
Yeah.
we don't have anything like that. Yeah, so it's really kind of difficult to, how to determine, when and where to put these athletes. But yeah.
I think we should implement something like this, but like, let's pull a page out of the movie Bloodsport, and we should have some kind of underground kumite where there's 2 platforms and lifters have to square off snatching or clean and
Man,
jerk.
and there's smack talking, and it's like the whole gamut, man. Like Kate and I talk about it all the time. Like, that we wish like it would just like turn it in, like it can be, friendly fire, right? And that's fine. But like that's the smack talking, and it's like, hey man, but like at the same, so like I think we're missing that. So yeah, 100%. Yes,
100% agree. It's even funny at the world level. It's like there's a battle, but it's also like everyone is just so friendly. Like, and like there's nothing wrong with that.
It's almost like it's a combination of like heavy weights and golf.
Yeah.
Right. In my opinion, it's like
totally.
it's because it's so professional, and like, people don't like loud or this or that or this, and like it's, you know what? Let them be athletes, man. That's what athletes do.
Yeah.
They talk a little smack, they boost their egos, they do what they're going to do, and, martial arts, it's the same thing, man. It's like you start to get that confidence. It's like, hey, what's the matter with that? It's friendly fire. Like, let them do whatever they
I wish we had more of that. Just even if it was just more like, do like some press conferences and like, let's like actually like let these athletes talk
like
about like
UFC freaking weigh-ins and freaking have them sit by a mic and start talking smack. Yeah, that'd be
it'd be fun. It'd be fun to see some lifters like just talk like, and you get the press to kind of, purposely rile them up. Like, hey, are you going to beat this guy? Like the thing is, I know what Weish is big. Oh, he's a great opponent. I wish everyone the best.
Yeah.
But you want to see somebody be like, yeah, I'm gonna smash this dude, right?
Yeah,
like,
I'm here to destroy you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care who you are, how long you've been doing this or whatever.
Right.
It's like, you have no idea what I got on my belt. So
yeah.
I think there's, I mean, me and Max talk about this a lot. Like, so many people want to, we want the federations of both weightlifting and powerlifting to get better, be more athlete first and conducive, and then, but it all comes down to business and monetization. And until you make the sport easier to watch and to the layman, fan, it's just not. It's gonna be what it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's that exactly. It's like you talk to the layman. Is like, hey, what's Olympic weightlifting? Oh, how much do you bench, man?
Yeah.
It's like, that's the wrong kind of weightlifting.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say, and it's funny because I think a lot of the federations are, at least I'll speak to powerlifting, and I'm not even a member of any organizations anymore, so they can't even ban me. But like, I feel like powerlifting federations are run by like socialist governors and stuff, where it's just like if they just had like a capitalism mindset, they'd be able to like really do. If you took a really good business owner and you plugged them into a fed, they'd probably crush it and run it like a real company.
Yeah.
But it's like the DMV. They're running these federations like they're running the DMV.
Yeah. It's and then not only that, like powerlifting just has so many federations. There's so many. Yeah. It's like, hey man, like I like the way USAW does it, obviously, right? Like they're the only Olympic weightlifting entity, right? You got a lot of us affiliates and whatnot, but like I just for powerlifting, there's just too many. Like I had to sit there and like I had a whole team meeting with my powerlifters to try to decide which powerlifting organization we wanted to like compete under, because like Florida has like 6 of them and they have different meets in different locations. Is like, and you got to spend all that money for each different membership every single year. And then as a club owner, club fees, and it's just like, come on, man. Like we just want one.
I mean, we do a lot of USAPL meets because we can host them ourselves. We actually have one this weekend. But I had one lifter quit because they were an untested lifter and we never hosted untested meets at the gym. Why? Well, just because less of our lifters are in that realm. And they quit to go to like another, like a bodybuilding gym.
I mean, there's a whole organization out there now. If they want to just do that, they can just go find that.
Exactly.
Hey, that's a good question, actually. Totally unrelated. What is your opinion of the enhanced games?
Bro,
I think now we've got.
Were you in Norway, Max?
I didn't go to Norway. I was actually like kind of bummed because it looked super awesome, but yeah, I wasn't in Norway.
It was, so it was super awesome, but like the guy was out there from the enhanced games and he was like,
sitting up
in the back. He was sitting in the back, the back seats and like trying to like, catching people as they were walking by and like digging a shirt out of his bag to try to like, but anyway, like
pulling out like a vial, like
dude, it's like, well, you don't have to use to compete with us, but just know that you're going to be competing with people who do. And it's like, so my opinion to answer your question, Max, is kind of like, I don't know. I feel like if you're going to have these, then there should be a very fine line between who you're allowed to, like, who they're allowed to like approach. And I feel like, you do have to do your due diligence as a new company to try to like get people in and promote and, do whatever you need to do. So high profile athletes, it's good for views, right? It's good for that. But we talked about this a lot when I was going through college, and it's like, we've always wondered, everybody wonders, right? Like, what would the difference be if you have somebody who's enhanced versus somebody who's not? Right. And I feel like this is exactly that. Let's see. Let's find out. Like, let's like, it's the answer to the ultimate question in the fitness world is like, okay, so let's see how much better somebody who, is somebody who, who's just pumping stuff, right? Versus somebody who's not and they're clean. And then my other question though with that is like, okay, what's your longevity in sport? Okay, we get it, right? Like, you're enhanced, you're probably going to hit a couple, you might be 5 kilos, maybe, 5 kilos over what the world record is as an enhanced athlete, right? But like, that's derogatory a little bit towards that enhanced athlete. If you're only 5 kilos more than whatever the world record is like, hey, dude, what's the point in even doing this? Especially if you're thinking about longevity in the sport.
It wasn't worth the high cholesterol.
Yeah. Right.
My question for you guys would be this: like, how much does raw strength actually play a difference? Because my opinion of usage of performance enhancing drugs is typically we're building more muscle mass and we have more raw strength, maybe a little bit more explosiveness because we have that raw strength base. But how much of that really plays a role? Like, have there been lifters you've seen that perform super well at the top echelons of weightlifting that actually their back squat is like not very strong?
Well, if I'm being honest, that's my son kind of in a nutshell. I mean, he was walking around Norway. I mean, it's not for lack of like a squat program. Let me put that out there.
It's not the coach's fault.
It's no, absolutely not. No. But what I will say is, like, if there's one thing that, like, when he was walking around, he was talking to, like, Dane Miller and some of the other coaches is like, hey, what do I need to do? And they're like, squat more. It's like, okay, well, we do have obviously you wouldn't be where you're at if you didn't have a good squat program. You wouldn't be able to do, but in retrospect, and kind of the answer in the question you say is like, clean and jerks over 200 kilos, right? But his front squat's only like 225 and his back squat's like 255, right? It's like, why aren't we hitting 160 kilo snatch? Well, some coaches would argue you're not hitting 160 kilo snatches because you're not doing, a 300 kilo back squat or a 290 kilo back squat. I think power and raw strength are completely different, in my opinion, right? Like, I've seen athletes come in and just super, super powerful, and they're able to do some crazy stuff. I got a girl who just joined. She's a phenomenal athlete, got a ton of potential, but she barely front squats 10 kilos over what her clean max is, right? And so that's a conversation that I have with all my athletes, especially if I see that those percentages and the levels of, like, your back squat is this, so your clean should be this, or your snatch should be this, is like, there's a huge discrepancy between those different levels. And so, like, trying to level them out is kind of hard. But yeah, I this is just my opinion. Power and raw strength are different.
I think there's I would say it's a rudimentary, it's sort of a simplistic look at the problem. It's like, the reality is, if you squat more weight at a lower velocity, you're producing more force, but that force is not as transferable because you can't accelerate the bar, right? So it's exactly what you said. Norik Vardanyan, I think, clean and jerk something like 210 with a 220 front squat, 225 front squat. Like he was snatching 160 off that same thing. Like, I don't know if he ever even did a max back squat. I think the strength levels you just described, Caden having, are enough to improve.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the reality is, it has to be a situation where you will get to a point where strength is not a limiting factor. And it's not like Lasha was squatting 450. I mean, Lasha was squatting in the 300s, mid 300s. He didn't need to do more. He's producing more force. The velocity of the snatch is incredibly high in his lifts. Like, this is a misnomer that I think it's funny that even is still kind of pervasive, that like a lot of coaches have this idea that like they really, really desperately want it to be a 1 + 1 = 2 scenario, where it's, if you can squat your way to a big total, and it's just not the case. Like,
No.
hands down, not the case.
No.
There's an enormous number, we all know this, and people have got guys that can squat 300 kilos, and there's not very many guys who snatch 180. And it's like, they're just two different things. So I think it's funny because you get that a lot. The same thing probably goes back to the enhanced games. It's like this idea that like, everyone's just going to get way stronger. You put a bunch of drugs on people and that's it. It's like my belief with the enhanced games is that you'll never see the top performances from the enhanced games. It'll always be the Olympics for two reasons. One, the Olympics is already dirty. It's already being optimized there. And two, you have the absolute pinnacle of talent in the Olympics, and you're not going to get that to move over. Granted, if like Usain Bolt went over in his prime and was sauced up out of his mind, sure, we might see like a 9,200 or something insane, right? But you're going to get a result at the weightlifting at the enhanced games, in my opinion, that's going to be really underwhelming. You might get some guys that
same thing. Yeah,
they're going to come out. There's going to be a guy I'd love to see. Clarence Kennedy's kind of past his peak, but like, it would have been great to see like a Clarence Kennedy go, get, a West Kitts is going to lift big. He's not going to beat his best numbers. Maybe he will, but clean or dirty, irrelevant. He's not in his peak. He's not like, 120 kilo West. Right. So
so you're not yet.
And then you're not getting Carlos Nassar going over there. Although I've heard the cash prize is $250,000 for a world record.
No, they were saying it was $1 million.
So, I mean, I have a friend who she coaches Lesman Paredes. He's retired. And I told her, I was like, you need to get him to do the snatch. Yeah. Like, that dude could make that much money, do one snatch. He could break the world record. He's already owns the world record. Like, it doesn't affect him. He's not competing again. Like, just go set yourself up for life. But yeah, I agree. It's like, it's going to be this thing of like, we all want things to be simple and easy and like clear cut. Take more drugs, do this, lift bigger. And it doesn't work that way. And it's going to be
I think the answers that people are looking for are going to be very, very like kind of bad.
It's right? Weird.
I don't think they're going to.
Yeah.
I don't think people are going to see what they want to see out of it.
It makes me wonder what the purveyors of the thing are. Like, how much knowledge do they really have? Like, do they have the level of deep knowledge and familiarity with how sports operates now at the Olympic level? Or is it they're kind of just like a bunch of tech guys that have money?
This is a good idea. Let's try it out.
Totally. And it's enticing. It's funny. To me, it's like, you guys, they might be very, very disappointed in what happens, but we'll see. I'm excited.
What they will get is they might get the views because of the nuances, but it happens one time.
I agree with Max. I don't know that it'll ever be the pinnacle. Like, I think, you said, the Olympics is the pinnacle, and I just don't see the best in the world that are going to the Olympics just, because, whatever, I'm going to switch and I'm going to do the enhanced games, right? Like, I don't know. It's just not smart. Right?
I mean, I've heard the IWS not going to allow people to do it, and they'll ban them if they do it.
They're like trying to kick that dude out of the freaking.
But it's
they
also
didn't even
like,
want him there.
It's one of those things where I'm kind of like, it's like so what? Like, you have rules in place. Like, if people fail drug tests, they fail drug tests. Like, they should be allowed to do whatever they want. If some guy is clean and he goes to the enhanced games and wins $1 million, like, more power to him. Like, why would you hold that guy back? Like, he comes to your Fed.
I think that's kind of what they're selling. They're trying to sell right now, is they're trying to tell these athletes. Cause like, I know the guy that was there talking to everybody. So like, he pulled me to the side and he talked to me for a little while, and he's kind of explaining it. And that's kind of the way he was trying to describe it, as like, if somebody wants to, they can, but if somebody doesn't want to and they feel like they're still going to be good enough to win, that's fine too. But I do know, like, you're giving up, if you go that route, you're giving up everything that you have with, whether it's the IW or, USAW, you're giving all that up just to try to go out there and play your hand and try to win $1 million against somebody who's is using.
Here's a question. I can think of a group of people that could go and clean up the Russians, because they're not allowed in any sports right now. And if they have anyone training there, and they are familiar with that game,
Yeah.
I would love to see just a whole Russian team show up and just slaughter records and just
everybody,
insane
right?
perform. People exploding on the platform because they're on some kind of experimental drug. No, but it'd just be fun, right? I want a spectacle. I do love the spectacle of just craziness. So if that happens, that would be fun.
Yeah.
As we start to wrap up here, I kind of wanted to end off on like talking about coach development, segueing back to coaching, not enhanced lifters. How do you grow coaches?
I wouldn't even have a clue on how to coach and enhance.
Yeah.
How do you grow coaches within your program, and what has worked for you, and even maybe what hasn't worked and mistakes you've made?
I try to develop my coaches in-house for a few different reasons, right? One of my assistant coach, my girlfriend, she started coaching. Well, she started like doing weightlifting with me when I first opened my own gym. Like I'd been coaching for a while, but then when she came in, she loves the sport. She's also a teacher. For her to be a coach, it was just kind of a no brainer. But I started coaching her and teaching her how to be a coach and what to look for. And then I had one of my high school girls come in. I trained her for a little while, and then once she started competing with us and she started training under me, you see, and here's the developmental part of it is like you see a lot of these high schools that don't. I'm not going to say they have crappy coaches. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say they have coaches that don't know about weightlifting, right? They have football coaches who know what they used to do in high school weightlifting. Oh, I used to do this and I used to do that. That's fine. A lot of these high school coaches now, when they see or they know that they have an athlete that's coming from like a legitimate gym, right? Like us, they're coming in, and then now the high school coaches are wanting that athlete to kind of be a coach to their athletes as well, right? So not only am I teaching my athletes how to be coaches, they're physically going, like my girl Elle, she's been training with me for, a year now, or over almost 2 years now, sorry. She made Team USA, and now our coach realizes the differences in just coaching, right? And what she does versus what, some of her athletes are doing. And so now the head coach is like, hey, I want you to go work with these individuals. So they're getting kind of pushed into coaching without them really, right? So now it's kind of been one of my goals is like when somebody comes in and they again, I wait for them to come to me and let me know that that's what they want to do, right? Like I'm not going to push, because coaching has to be a passion. Like the three of us on this call all have a passion for what we do, and that's what makes us successful. And I don't feel like a coach is going to be successful if they don't have a passion for it, right? So I do have, a few good coaches in my gym that I've raised up. I got a kid that came in out of a good exercise science program. He knows his stuff really, really well. Plus he'd been doing CrossFit for a little while. Weightlifting and competing in weightlifting was kind of new to him. So I basically, with him, I know that like I watch them. I watch over all of them. I watch to see what kind of cues they're given. I watch to see what they're doing and how they're interacting with my athletes, and then that's kind of what, and when I do hear, oh, well, coach, my coach at high school wanted me to help with this or help with that, is like, that makes me feel good that I'm actually, I'm raising a good group of not just athletes, but also like if they want to be coaches at some point with the same passion, they're going to be.
Nice.
It makes me proud. I definitely 3 or 4 athletes in the gym that are going through either physical therapy programs or exercise science programs. It makes me like, our goal as coaches is always try to like develop somebody that's going to take our spot one day. Right. And so that's the way I look at it, is like, if I want somebody to open up or take over my gym when I leave, I don't want it to be some, Bobby that just comes in off the streets and has a huge resume. I want somebody that's been in my gym for a while, that knows my athletes, that knows how I run my program because it's been successful. I mean, call me a control freak, but that's kind of how I.
Yeah,
so,
I couldn't agree more.
That's
100%, man. Well, Chad, I really appreciate your time today, dude. This was awesome to film with you.
Yeah,
Thanks for
appreciate it.
Being on.